There are decisions that feel brave, and there are decisions that feel like walking willingly toward execution. What Johnny Depp chose in early 2019 was the latter. The headline had already crucified him. Hollywood had already buried him. Friends had already retreated to silence. Most men would vanish. Most would accept life as a cautionary tale. Johnny did something illogical. He decided to walk into the lion's den on camera. His lawyers warned him, "Johnny, this isn't a lawsuit. It's a self-immolation. You will be dissected. They will expose your addictions, your lowest texts, your worst days, your failures as a husband." He listened without blinking. He answered quietly, "I want them to see it. All of it." The lawyers exchanged glances. "This is suicide," one muttered. Johnny nodded. "I know." But he wasn't suicidal. He was done hiding. To win a defamation lawsuit in America, you must prove actual malice. Lawyers lose careers trying to prove it. Actors lose legacies trying to fight it. So why did Johnny choose it? Because the alternative was worse. Living as the villain his children feared he would become. He once wrote, "If truth dies, the lie becomes inheritance." That terrified him more than scandal. Decision made, he began preparing. Not like an actor memorizing lines, but like a prisoner reviewing interrogations. He reread texts he regretted, sat with addictions he had once outrun. One lawyer asked, "What will you say when they present your worst messages?" Johnny's answer was startling. "I will say they were mine." "Won't that make you look bad?" "It will make me look human." When the suit was filed, the industry snickered. Blogs mocked it. Colleagues whispered, "He'll destroy what little remains." Maybe he would. But destruction was no longer his enemy. Erasure was. Better to be destroyed truthfully than preserved falsely. Then came the venue twist. The case would be heard in Fairfax County, Virginia. A quiet courthouse nobody cared about. Poetic irony. Truth would not be decided in Hollywood, the industry that betrayed him, but in a small county that didn't know it was about to hold the most watched trial of the decade. Months before trial, Johnny lived differently. No film sets, no public appearances, just depositions, rehearsals. He told his lawyers, "Don't sanitize anything. Show them who I was." Even the worst parts? Especially the worst parts. Because the gamble was simple. If the jury can see that I was broken, they will also see that I was not the breaker. A senior attorney leaned in. "Johnny, if you lose this case, you don't get to rebuild. You will vanish permanently." He held the gaze. "I understand. Then why keep going?" "Because if I don't, then everything they said becomes truth." He wasn't risking his legacy. He was burying the version of him they invented and daring the world to watch the funeral. Fairfax County, Virginia. A place so ordinary it felt wrong to hold destiny. Most people imagined justice unfolding in marble federal courthouses. Yet here, in a suburban building that resembled a county library, history arrived quietly. Outside, a phenomenon unfurled. People camped overnight. They held posters like prayers, "Truth matters. I believe him." This wasn't fandom. It was grief. Millions carried wounds from not being believed. Johnny Depp became their mirror. Inside, courtrooms are constructed to humble you. No music, no applause, just the brutal acoustics of what you say. Johnny walked in quietly. No designer sunglasses, just a man fading into the wooden benches as if surrender was already familiar. Amber Heard entered differently. Chin lifted. the practiced elegance of someone used to eyes. But jurors don't see like cameras. They absorb energy. And the room absorbed something, Johnny shrinking inward, Amber expanding outward. One expected to win, the other expected to lose. Opening statements came like thunder. Amber's lawyers unleashed accusations. Addict, maniac, controller. Johnny didn't react. He had already heard worse in private. Then came the moment people didn't understand until much later. Johnny walked to the stand. No dramatic oath, just a soft "I do." He admitted flaws before anyone accused him. Yes, I abused substances. Yes, I behaved poorly. Those admissions landed differently. Jurors leaned forward. Somewhere deep, people recognize when someone bleeds honestly. Cross-examination began like artillery fire. Amber's lawyers read his worst texts aloud with venom. "I will burn her corpse," Johnny simply said. Those words were anger, dark humor, frustration, not excused, owned. You cannot dismantle someone who dismantles themselves first. But the tension reached breaking point when Johnny was asked to relive the worst parts of his marriage. He spoke slowly. "I stayed because I wanted to fix her." That was not what jurors expected. Abusers don't speak in blame inward. They speak in blame outward. But then, the tapes. The courtroom changed. A speaker hummed, and Amber's voice, dismissive sharp, filled the room. "I was hitting you. I wasn't punching you." Silence fell like glass. Johnny lowered his eyes, not triumphant, but reliving it. Another recording. "You didn't get punched. Don't be a baby." Jurors' eyes widened. This was the voice of domination. This was the tone of a perpetrator belittling the injured. People think trials hinge on evidence. Often they hinge on feeling. In that moment, what shifted was not logic, but empathy. By the time the last recording played, a chill settled, the kind that changes belief. As Johnny stepped down, the courtroom didn't erupt. It stilled. People didn't need to react. They needed to process. The trial had begun as a reckoning for Johnny, but now it was beginning to look like a reckoning for her. Outside, the crowd was louder now, not cheering for celebrity, but for validation. Johnny walked in an accused man. He walked out of part two as something the room was hesitant to say aloud but beginning to believe. A victim. Truth had stopped whispering. It had spoken, and people had heard it. Truth isn't a hammer, it is a scalpel. And the person who held that scalpel was Camille Vasquez. In a courtroom full of theatrics, she walked like someone who didn't need attention. Measured steps, eyes scanning the battlefield. Cross-examination is not combat. It is stalking. You don't strike until the prey doesn't realize it is prey. Amber Heard took the stand, chin lifted, voice shaped to tremble. But the jury leaned away. Because jurors don't trust perfection. They trust fracture. Camille rose slowly. Her voice was gentle. Too gentle. That was the first trap. "Ms. Heard, you testified you were terrified of Mr. Depp, correct?" "Yes." "And yet, there is no medical documentation of injury?" Amber blinked. "I didn't seek treatment." "Not once?" "Not once." Camille nodded. It was a mark on a timeline. Then Camille pivoted. "You also testified you donated your $7 million divorce settlement, correct?" "Yes. I pledged it." "I didn't ask what you pledged. I asked what you paid." Amber's posture faltered. "Well, pledge and donate." "No, They are not interchangeable words. You have not donated it, correct? Amber froze. I haven't been able to. Camille turned away. She didn't need to convince the jury. She needed to let Amber reveal herself. And Amber did. Then came the most anticipated ghost in the room, Kate Moss. Amber had seeded a rumor for years. He pushed Kate Moss down the stairs. She invoked it again on the stand, giving Camille the opening. Camille called Kate Moss via video link. Ms. Moss, did Mr. Depp ever push you downstairs? Kate didn't blink. No. He never pushed me. He never kicked me. He never threw me down any stairs. 3 minutes. That was all. 3 minutes undid 10 years of whispered accusation. The courtroom didn't gasp, because truth rarely arrives loudly. It arrives like clarity, quiet, undeniable. Johnny's legal team watched silently. Camille's expression didn't change, but Ben Chu glanced at his client with a look that said, "We just turned the tide." Camille delivered the last cut without raising her tone. You weren't afraid of him. You were losing control of him. Isn't that true? Amber didn't answer, because the most powerful answer in a courtroom is silence. Johnny watched quietly, not triumphant, just tired. Years of accusation were collapsing in front of him, but exhaustion remained, because vindication does not erase injury. Something else happened in that room. The world turned. The trial was no longer, is Johnny abusive? It became, how did this man endure her? Johnny came to confess. Amber came to perform. And jurors never choose performance over confession. When Amber stepped down, her own lawyers avoided eye contact. That is when witnesses lose trials, when their own counsel abandons them. In Fairfax County, the realization was now complete. But the trial still needed one thing, a verdict. And verdicts are not thunderclaps. They are births, painful, slow, inevitable. Johnny had walked into this courthouse as the accused. He walked out as the wronged. All that remained was whether the law would match what the room already knew. June 1st, 2022. Fairfax County did not look different that morning. But the world did. News vans crowded the streets, live stream feeds spiked to millions. Inside there was no noise, only the tension of waiting to breathe. Johnny Depp was not there. He was across the ocean, in the English countryside, surrounded not by lawyers but guitars. Some called it arrogance. It wasn't. It was symbolism. He didn't need to witness judgment. He had lived his sentence already. Inside, the jury filed in, no expression. The judge asked, "Has the jury reached a verdict?" Yes. The verdict form was handed to the clerk. Paper suddenly felt heavier than stone. In the matter of John C. Depp II versus Amber Laura Heard, silence. Was the statement defamatory? Yes. Amber blinked. Her attorneys stiffened. Was it made with actual malice? Yes. That was the legal soul of the case. Actual malice, the hardest threshold in American law. It meant someone didn't just lie, they intended to lie. The courtroom didn't erupt. Not yet. Compensatory damages, $10 million, punitive damages, $5 million. Then came Amber's counterclaim. Was the statement defamatory? No. One syllable erased the myth she built. Outside, cheers detonated. It looked like victory. But inside was quieter, because something deeper happened. Belief shifted, and belief is harder to win than lawsuits. Johnny received the news backstage in England. He closed his eyes and exhaled. Not relief, release. Then he walked onto a stage and played guitar. Music, not speech. was his response to rebirth. Later, he released a written statement. The jury gave me my life back. He meant identity. Because the trial wasn't about damages, it was about demolition. Demolition of the label welded to him. Wife beater. The verdict shattered it. Hollywood didn't apologize, but Johnny didn't wait for their validation. Exile taught him something brutal. Fame is theater. Freedom is art. The trial revealed something he had not noticed before. He never belonged to their world. They belonged to his. The verdict's significance was not professional. It was ancestral. It cleared his children's inheritance. They would not inherit shame. They would inherit truth. Millions of men and women who had suffered private abuse felt seen. Johnny became an emblem for the unheard. People wrote letters. You saved my life. You gave me courage. He never asked for it, but the trial transcended celebrity and became archetype, the Phoenix trial. After Fairfax, Johnny didn't run to the spotlight. He disappeared again, but differently, not as exile, as sovereign. He painted, he toured. He began living not as someone surviving, but as someone reborn. A journalist later wrote, "He didn't win a trial. He escaped a tomb." That is the truth. He walked into Fairfax as a condemned myth. He walked out as a reclaimed man, not flawless, not saintly, just real. The last line of this story belongs to the version of Johnny who sat in silence for years, the one who said nothing even when the world shouted at him. What he proved to everyone watching was this: truth does not scream. Truth does not hurry. Truth does not beg. Truth waits. And when the lie grows too heavy, truth rises, not loudly, but undeniably. Johnny did not shout his comeback. He whispered it, and the world learned. You are not what they name you. You are what you survive. And he survived.